This is Roger Bianchini with the Royal Examiner camera crew. Mark Williams, thank you for your help in the wind here. And I am with Doug Parsons, EDA, Front Royal Warren County Executive Director of the EDA, and Lord Fairfax Community College Vice President Jeanian Clark, and Brittany Herrera, who is the manager of the CDS program, the Commercial Driver Services that the EDA and Lord Fairfax Community College have partnership with here for a number of years. And who wants to start, give us a little background on this program and how it works with economic development and your students?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So the community college had wanted to start a CDL program for some time. We focus very much on labor market information to see what jobs are in demand in our local region. And year after year, CDL drivers were one of the highest in demand openings in our 7-county service region. The program itself is a very logistically intense program to put on. You can imagine the cost of the trucks, being able to find land, the expertise of the instructors. So from 2014 to 2016, the college embarked on trying to scale a program up. And we had figured out all the pieces except a range. We couldn't in our we couldn't in our 7-county service region find a partner or any type of opportunity to have up to a 7 to 11, we needed about 7 to 11 acres of flat land to have a driving range. And we reached out to all of our partners, employers, and other localities for help. And it was in the summer of 2016, the Warren County EDA stood up and said, hey, why don't you guys take a look at our parking lot? I think we might be able to help you out. We love the idea because Warren County actually sits smack in the middle of the LFCC service region. So when we came out and looked at the property, and at the time spoke with the owners of CDS, Jill and Chris, and asked them to come out and take a look, they felt like we had a winner. And we loved it just because it really could position the students to feed the entire 7-county service region employer demand that we were seeing for the program. So we were thrilled. So July 1st, 2016, we started our first class and had our first graduate at the end of August. And it was, ever since then, it's been a fantastic program. We see about 200 students go through it every year, 100% employment placement. And
You've anticipated some of my questions.
Yeah, well, I won't steal the thunder of going into a lot of what the details are that the program manager can share with you, but without the partnership of Warren County and the EDA, this would not have happened. So we're very, very pleased to have this partnership.
Great. And Doug, this was a little bit before your time, but you might be able to address that this part of the property is part of the Avtex property, but it was part of the non-contaminated being across the street here, never having dealt with the operations of the Avtex American Viscose plant.
Absolutely.
So what do you know from your tenure here about when that was released? Was it, as far as you know, close proximity when the feds released this part of the property?
I believe so, and again, the covenants and restrictions on this piece of ground aren't nearly what they are either on the 117 acres across the street or the 240 on the other side of the railroad track. The covenants and restrictions get more intense the further you go to the river.
Don't block the 30 acres of IT Federal out of your mind. That's still part of the 147 over there.
Well, I will have no comment on it. But no, this really is a crucial operation here. As Jeanian said, CDL truck drivers are in demand all across the country, whether it's the logistics and transportation industry that we have here in the northern part of the county, surrounding Virginia and Linport, or whether it's the oil and gas industry across the country. There's no state in the country that doesn't have unfilled CDL positions right now. It's not unlike the IT sector where there are job openings all across the country in that as well. So this really is a crucial piece of workforce training for the companies here in Warren County, but companies in Frederick and Clark County and Shenandoah and Page benefit as well. So we're really glad to have this partnership that the new EDA inherited. But I think
really essentially is a regional operation.
Because the college itself serves 7 counties, we do feed obviously the employer demand in those regions. But again, I couldn't have dreamed of a better place to put it because it's just very centrally located. And to his point, the inland port and all the commerce, the 8166 corridor, it's just perfectly positioned.
And talking about the site and the training, Brittany, maybe you can address a little bit about the dynamics of this site, the size of it, and
Yeah.
How much training do they do on site here
Absolutely.
before they head off to the corridor and the interstate?
Yeah, absolutely.
On the
So
road?
the training program as a whole is 160 hours, which is only 20 days of training. And 10 of that is going to be in our classroom setting at Lord Fairfax. And then the other 10 days, which would be another 80 hours of training, is right here on this property. You guys can't see behind the camera, but it stretches quite a ways back that way, and then also stretches way down that way. We actually, once COVID-19 came into play, split this area in half so we can essentially do as much social distancing as possible and essentially run 2 separate training areas, which if we didn't have this much area, wouldn't be possible. So it didn't slow us down as far as training went. And just to kind of piggyback off of what Doug was saying, if you look at the CDL program, we're not training people that are going to be fighting for the same position. There's currently over 200 open positions for CDL holders, where if you're training to get, your IT degree, you've got 5 people all after the one same job. With a CDL, there are so many openings that we're just itching to get back into training, and the faster we can do that, the faster we can get a lot more people in these 7 counties trained and back out on the road, where we work with a lot of the other state programs in the area where they go from being unemployed to making over $48,000 a year in 20 days.
Well, I was going to ask a little bit about the salary range the graduates can expect, and talk about starting around 48.
Yep, absolutely.
I guess talking about splitting the course in half during the COVID situation, does that sort of explain our line here?
Yep, that explains why we have all these trucks. We do use our trailer here as the dividing line, so students know if they're on this side of the trailer.
I do recall driving
don't
to
go
the
that
EDA,
way.
usually that trailer is much more visible than it is now, so all the trucks
Correct.
aren't normally right there.
They're not normally lined up right there. We do have them lined up there for now while we're not training during this time, but we do usually have half the trucks are down that way, half the trucks are down this way, and then obviously we'll always have 1 or 2 out running for the road training as well.
And there's been a lot of comment locally and nationally about the reopenings, and we're starting to phase into our reopenings today with the governor's Order 61 and the local emergency management response. Do you know yet how that's going to impact you getting back to normal training?
So right now the governor's executive order does speak directly to institutions of higher education that we cannot resume face-to-face training while in phase 1. So phase 1 is anticipated to last 2 to 4 weeks. So on the conservative end of that, 4 weeks will put us around June 13th. So we're very hopeful to get back to being able to do face-to-face training, minding all the CDC guidelines, and bring small groups of students back for face-to-face training.
What do we have to add here? I think we've addressed what normally is 100%, like you said, graduation and employment rate. Talked about the salary range.
Well, I think one of the things that's really neat is because this is an in-demand program, it's eligible for Virginia's Workforce Credential Grant, whereby 2/3 the cost of the tuition is paid for by the state if you're a Virginia resident. So that's a pretty nifty little program that Virginia supports, again, only because it's a high demand credential. So 2/3 of the cost are picked up by the state. If you complete and get your credential, they cover 2/3 the cost. You do not pay it back, it is a grant.
And this program seems successful. I guess the plan is to keep it going indefinitely along with
the General Assembly seed funded the program in 2016, right when we were starting this program, and it has grown every year considerably. So it covers a number of other high credential, high demand, a lot of technical skills, electricians, plumbers, HVAC. The CDL is one of them as well. And so for $1,500 in 20 days, you could be making $48,000. It's quite incentivizing.
Think about that, kids. the romance life of the truck driver.
That's right.
I think it's been the subject of songs and movies both.
Absolutely.
Doug, anything to add just about the partnership and a success story for the type of thing you all strive for here?
Absolutely. I think this is one of the best things that we inherited at the new EDA from the old EDA was this partnership. Obviously, economies don't stop at the county line. The Virginian Inland carport is regional. There's companies from all over the area that use it. This school serves companies through trained employees and workforce training all over the area. So it's the exact kind of thing that we should be partnering with LFCC on, and we're really proud of this, and look forward to having this continue into the future.
And not to change the subject, but I believe you were not late, but making me nervous as whether you were going to make it. You were out showing the property today, right?
Yes, even with the Corona crisis, we continue to see good prospect activity for our buildings and our raw land. And I'm really hoping that we can get back on track here within the next couple of months. And I think there'll be a lot of pent-up interest in expanding and relocating. And I think people will be putting those plans back in action here soon.
All right, well, there has been some talk of maybe teaching me to drive a tractor trailer while we were out here.
Let's do
Absolutely.
It could be a dangerous endeavor, but was there any plan to move one of the trucks or do anything now? Maybe we could get a little film of,
Yeah, we could definitely
of you
do
in
that.
action, of you all in action out here.
No, that's you. Yeah.
May or may not be me.
We could
I'll
definitely.
take credit for it if it doesn't wreck.
There you go.
Okay.
All right, Mark.
That's all right. She knows how to adjust the seat. I know. I love it. I can't reach it. I love watching her drive a truck. She's so short, she has to put the seat all the way forward, all the way down, move the steering wheel all the way down. All you can see is her hand.